The title of this video is The Hidden Connection Between Money and Spiritual Beliefs. A man said to God, "What is 1,000,000 years to you?" And God said, "It is a second." And the man then asked God, "What is $1,000,000 to you?" And God said, "It's a penny." And the man then said, "Please give me a penny." And God said, "Sure, give me a second." This humorous exchange between a person and God reflects one of the underlying views held in the mass consciousness concerning spirituality and money, including it is external, it is elusive, and immoral. So in this session, I'm going to explore some of the world's views about money, and I'll lead you through a consciousness shift on money. Now, this is not to replace any other thing that you are doing, like visualizations or affirmations or anything else that you might be doing. This is some information that might not be like anything you've ever heard before about money and abundance, because it radically rocks some traditional positions. And I'm not going to be covering the usual positive thinking, visualization, and law of attraction formulas. I'm going to take you to a new level of understanding of the physical dimension, and in particular, it will transform your relationship with money. You see, money is a symbol of how we relate to the physical realm. When you resolve your relationship with money, you will have a greater understanding of all of your interactions in the physical realm. You'll come to understand the ancient saying, "As above, so below. As without, so within." The overall key is to bring all of the levels of mastery, understanding, and realization that you experience in meditation into the physical realm. And you may have already noticed this doesn't always happen. The first key to understanding the problem most people have with money is seeing money as outside of themselves and outside of their control. And this is where they get pretty hung up. This is why there's fear around money, because it is seen as something outside of you and out of control. So at first you might think, well, how could it be anything else? Well, soon you're going to see. There's a feeling in many people that they don't understand money, as if it's some kind of an unknown force that's controlling their life. And this creates an underlying helplessness about money that makes it a mystery outside of you over which you seem to have little control. And even when some people have money, there's often a fear that some unknown force will blindside them and take it away from them. Could be unexpected accidents, necessary repairs, taxes, illnesses, unforeseen issues, investment losses. And all this is what generates fear around money. The whole entire physical dimension is sometimes perceived this way, as being basically uncontrollable. And almost everyone feels somewhat helpless in the face of what they perceive as outside forces. And this is what drives people to try to gain more power and control through force. So the first key to understanding the problem that most people have with money is seeing money as outside of themselves and outside of their control. What you perceive outside of you is actually a mirrored reflection of what is inside of you. So at this point, I'm asking you to be open-minded about this idea. So to help you so that you're not so fixated on money being external, say these words to yourself. I am willing to surrender and release the need to believe that I am helpless in the face of outside forces. I am willing to surrender and release the need to believe that I am helpless in the face of outside forces. I am willing to surrender and release the need to believe abundance and money are outside of me. To have a more accurate view about money, you'll also want to bring an enlightened awareness of your higher self or soul into any limiting perception. So you want to invite the soul to merge and integrate into all of your perceptions and beliefs and conclusions about money, about it all being outside of you. So now follow these words and make them your own. I ask the full intelligence of my higher self and soul to deeply integrate into my beliefs that abundance and money are outside of me. I will repeat that. I ask the full intelligence of my higher self and soul to deeply integrate into my beliefs that abundance and money are outside of me. Now, I would like to let this digest a bit because I'm going to continue, but I know this is a really big jump, and therefore I want it to integrate. The power that you have in the subtle non-physical dimensions that you access through meditation and visualizations is that you know it's all in your consciousness. So you can visualize anything. And therefore, you have power and control in those realms. When you close your eyes to visualize or meditate, you can imagine just about anything. And what I'm suggesting to you is you want to perceive the physical universe this way also, because it is a product of your internal world. And this is what that phrase, as above, so below, is talking about. It may be a more dense dimension, but it's just another frequency. The physical dimension seems to run by a different set of rules, but in reality, it doesn't. So here again is a big key with regard to money. You must perceive the physical universe, including money, as much an aspect of your internal beliefs as the subtle realms are perceived to be in your meditations. If you understand and comprehend the depths of this, you'll have found a big key to mastery of the physical dimension, and for that matter, every other dimension. You probably don't realize how strongly you've made the physical dimension an exception to your life's experiences. You go into a meditation, and you have a wonderful experience, and then you open your eyes and you feel limited again. The reason for this is that when you open your eyes, you are perceiving through the five senses, and they all tell you that things are different from the internal experience. Now listen carefully to the next sentence. The senses were designed to perceive the realms of illusion as if they are real, so that a life can be constructed in the illusion. Your five senses were designed to perceive the realms of illusion as if they were real, so that a life could be constructed in the illusion. Now, follow me carefully with the following words. You don't need to repeat them, but follow them and be in agreement with them and make them your own. I ask the enlightened awareness of the soul to fully integrate that everything I perceive as being external is a reflection of my internal beliefs. And this is especially true about abundance and money. Anyone who is going to give you or bring you anything, including money, is a reflection of your subconscious beliefs. So everything is a reflection of your beliefs. But it is mostly the deep-seated unconscious beliefs that are at the cause. Pain, struggle, suffering are also sometimes what many people think are being caused by external forces. And so everybody responds to them as if they were outside and beyond control. Because it's all perceived as outside, everyone is continually looking for solutions outside to fix it. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's perfectly okay to seek external solutions and treatments, but unless you also address the internal beliefs, the problem may only be temporarily resolved. Now, here's a problem. It's natural to be afraid to admit that pain and suffering might be coming from inside. There's something scary to the ego mind about admitting this realization. If it is coming from inside, then this means that the ego mind is holding some kind of belief or program of some kind that somewhere along the line it made a mistake. So the ego mind interprets this as being bad or defective or not being good enough. Everyone feels much more comfortable if they can project the suffering to an external cause. In other words, you are just a victim of circumstances. Or maybe you have bad luck. Or you're at the mercy of the actions of nature, or maybe another person. But if what a person is experiencing as suffering is actually being generated and held by something inside of them, this means to pull all the weight and put all of the burdens on the cause fully on them. But if what a person is experiencing as suffering is actually being generated and held by something inside of them, that seems to put all the weight and the burden of the cause fully on them. And that means everyone's creating their own pain. And who wants to possibly admit or believe that? Well, of course, nobody wants to admit that. So if the cause is internal, that means you can't run away from it. You can't deny it. And even if you try, you can't pretend that it's not there. So over time, it becomes a very important topic to be aware of. And you need to alter this primal fear because it's a fear of perceiving everything as inside of you. So we need to go after the primal fear because it's a fear of perceiving that things are inside of you. And that's what will enable you to deal with the underlying causes of the issues or conditions. Otherwise, you're just going to struggle with a lot of external solutions, and a lot of them don't work. With regard to money, we want to feel empowered rather than feeling like we're powerless in the face of it. And this comes by integrating the soul into it. And then we become the masters of it because money is just one other thing inside of your awareness. The second big key to healing your relationship with money is to come into acceptance. Now, this next statement will seem a little odd. It may even trigger some old beliefs about money being a root of evil, but I'm going to talk about it for a while so you can get the understanding and experience of this consciousness shift around money. Can you say, I love abundance? Can you say that without a reaction or a conclusion or a contraction? Say it and feel how it feels. I love you, abundance. How does this feel? I love you is an expression of acceptance of the abundance of the universe. And it's an acknowledgement that the universe is ready and willing to give abundance to you. Now let's take this another step further. Speak directly to money and say, I love you, money. I accept your love. When you speak directly to money and say, I love you, money, and I accept your love, how does that feel? Was there a slight twinge? When you say, I love you, money, it may trigger a collective consciousness which has an adversarial relationship with money, which almost feels as though it's a tool of the devil. And there is a twinge inside of you that makes it wrong to say, I love money, or I love you, money. Consider this. How can you attract and bring into your life what you are repulsed by? I know it seems strange, but get comfortable with it. It's an expression of acceptance of the abundance of the whole universe. And the universe is ready and willing to give it to you, whatever you want. And I know this sounds weird, it sounds radical, but stop right now, close your eyes, and just try it and feel the internal shifts that you have when you do this. I love you, money. I love you, money and abundance. Say again, I love you, money and abundance, and I accept your love. And then just feel. When you really sink into the words, it feels deeply right and good. I love you, money. Money is an archetype. And like the circulatory system of life on Earth, it is creative and it wants to be in motion. And because it's creative, it wants to create. It's a dynamic archetype and it wants to be used. It wants to be held and shared and spent and exchanged. It's so happy to be loved that when you connect with it in this way, you activate the archetype of receiving money and abundance, and it says, I will find more ways to bring more money to you. Your relationship with money is no more than the aspects that you have imbued to the universe. And all the universe can ever do is mirror back to you. It wants to give back unless you block it from blocking you. It wants to give back unless you block it from giving to you the very things that you want because of all that you have that limit your beliefs. So follow the words and make them your own. I ask the consciousness of money to merge with my consciousness so there is only harmony. If you have created a separation of yourself from money and have an adversarial relationship with it for whatever reason, it would explain why you've had some problems with money. And in any case, the time has come to merge with it. Now, this is not to make it an obsession or activate greed or fixate on it or hoard it. It's part of the rhythm of life. It's like breathing in and out. Receive and give and receive. It is so natural. It is light. It is right. It is part of the pulse of life on this planet. It's interesting how humans take something like money and put it in a whole separate category from everything else, and they put endless stipulations on it. Some people seem to live in a bizarro world where money is viewed as unnatural, or maybe they think it's a tool of the devil that will take you over and bring you down. Money can bring so much goodness, and yet the idea transmitted to us through some religious systems is there's something different and bad about money. Some religions imply money really isn't as good as a higher calling as there is if you have little money. Some would like you to believe that God's beloved poor is really the way to put God first in your life. The ascetic life is sometimes regarded as most godly life and the closest to the most spiritual. So the less you have, the more you have a high ranking on God's scale. In the 8th to the 12th century, there were 84 monks who were regarded as some of the most enlightened people who had ever lived. And for the most part, they lived lives of denial, pain, suffering, asceticism. And they just might have been enlightened. I certainly don't judge them on that issue. But it's believed that if you were really spiritual and you were committed to being spiritual, you would have less. This is a view of money as deeply ingrained and accepted cross-culturally. In order to please God or reach God's people, you must have prolonged periods of lack or fasting or suffering, or bury yourself in the jungles up to your neck, or hit yourself with a whip, or crawl on your knees to the temple, or just have very few possessions. There's some in the East that go without clothing. They're completely naked, and they think that is going to be the more spiritual state. So this concept puts everything upside down. There's a belief in the collective mass consciousness that material things can lead you away from God. And once you get the concept that the only thing that is real is love and be loved, then you apply it to money, your relationship with money and the world and life will totally change. Now, to some, I know, it sounds blasphemous, the way people view it. Can you imagine how that statement, "I love you, money," sounds to a lot of people? It sounds like the epitome of greed. And it would be regarded by a lot of people as some kind of a capital sin. But consider this. If you really deeply love somebody and they ask you for something, wouldn't you give them everything that they asked for? You'd give them anything if you really love them deeply, if they ask for it. Religion tells us God is a caring, merciful father or mother. And wouldn't any parent give their children just about anything that the children would ask for? And yet religion turns this around and says, God honors us the most if we have little or nothing. Isn't the view that God wants to give out of abundance a much more sensible, logical, rational approach? And that is all we're really saying about money. If we are love, and the universe is love, and there's a pulse of creation, love and be loved, that also has to be true of the creation about money. Love defines the relationship that we should have with abundance and all of creation. When you love someone, you want to give them gifts. Money wants to do the same for you. Money says, Love is the natural flow of the universe and wants you to breathe that into a natural flow. Money can find you more easily when you love it and you open to receive its gifts. This is certainly a lot better than being afraid of money, don't you think? Because everything is in consciousness. Besides saying, I love you, money, and saying that everything about money is internal, there is also the acknowledgement that money is coming to you in present time. So it's like a river. A river is flowing in water from upstream. And just as surely as it's going to come downstream, so is true when you're in love with money. So the part of you that doesn't believe this is what creates the obstacles. The fact that it may not be in your physical possession at this moment makes it to some to seem like it's some kind of a fantasy. You're just making it up or pretending. Remember, as above, so below? It's an ancient saying. It's also another way of saying as within, so without. So that everything we know about mastery and creation in all of the realms and all of the dimensions is true, and as much true here in the physical realm. It's only doubt or a constriction or a contraction that you put on the manner in which something is going to come to you that makes it seem to be different. The experience is different because you believe it's different. You believe that the physical realm is an exception to the rule, an exception to all the other realms and all the other dimensions. Of course, it is more dense, so things don't move quite as fast as you might like, but the principles all work the same. Like attracts like. What kind of energy are you putting out? You have to deeply embed the deepest truth that creation is simply creation, and it's all the same, just different frequencies or rates of vibration. You are an architect of the creation, and you build the creation with your beliefs. Now, say these words and make them your own. I surrender all resistance to release any limits about money. I acknowledge my willingness to allow myself to receive money and abundance. I am open to receive what money is offering me. I am willing to surrender and release the need for obstacles to receiving money. I have an ability, power, and capacity to receive money, gifts, and abundance. I have an ability, power, and capacity to receive money, gifts, and abundance. I open myself to the energy of receiving. And now just notice, is there any pulling back, any holding, gripping, hesitation, doubting, questioning? When you make requests and statements about receiving money, if your mind argues with these statements, just say, thank you for letting me know, and I surrender all need and release the need for you. Thank you for letting me know, and I surrender and release all need for you. The most helpful key to the process is sensing the feeling behind all the words. So keep this in mind as we continue. I acknowledge my power to receive. I believe in love and I'm willing to receive love. Money, I love you, and I am open to be loved by money. I am willing to receive abundance. I am open and ready for the full power of receiving money. I deepen into my consciousness of receiving money. I am fully open to the full download of the consciousness of receiving money. I welcome receiving money. Now feel the words. There's kind of a blissful energy field about receiving money because money is love. Money is abundance. Money is part of the creation. Now inwardly say, I fully integrate receiving money throughout my body, mind, and being. I fully integrate receiving money throughout my body, mind, and being. And now ask yourself, how will I be feeling when abundant money is in my life? If it were fully in my life now, how would I be feeling? I am the manifestation and creation of the abundance of money automatically in my life. I am the manifestation and creation of the abundance of money automatically in my life. I feel and sense the support of the universe behind all of my intentions. Take your time. Allow yourself to integrate the transformations in consciousness and bring all of the feelings and realizations with you as you gradually bring yourself peacefully back to your full normal awareness, bringing all the full expansion and light of abundance with you, permanently changed. And open your eyes if they're closed and see all of the beauty and abundance around you. And stretch out. May you receive beautiful gifts and a happy and abundant tomorrow. I'll see you the next time.